quickly go to this lab wherein we are going to create configure the application gateway and see some what is this path-based routing and application gateway. So this is again load balancer, but this functions from layer 7, where it can understand the application and the data which is which it is dealing with. So that's what we are going to do now, and it is starting with the with VM creation. So let's follow this process. I'll explain you again everything on the whiteboard, what all we are doing. So let me get rid of this whiteboard, start a new one. Okay, so it is straight away starting with creating the virtual machine. So let's create the virtual machine. Start with the add board. Create new virtual machine, and we are going to create a new resource group called My Resource Group AG Application Gateway. Select the subscription resource group, create the resource group with this name. That's my resource group. And I'm going to create a VM with the name VM, my VM1. It's going to be in ECUS. Type the username password. Okay, it's not dealing with any other options here. Why is that? Let's see. This one doesn't say particularly if this VMs has to be deployed in different availability zones. Does it say anything like that? Let's see. Create the virtual machine used as backend servers. We also install IaaS virtual machine tool. Verify the application gateway. Virtual machine name. Right, it doesn't say anything. So we are going to go with no redundancy. Standard image. We are going to use Azure Edition. Uh, use give your username and password as main, whatever name you want to give. Okay. Are we deploying Bastion host in this? Virtual network we are creating. We are creating backend subnet. We are creating the application gateway subnet. Creating application gateway, backend tabs, configuration tab, review and create test application. Okay, so we are not making use of Bastion host here. So we have to keep this open. RDP connection so that we can install IaaS server later. Okay, so next step is basically Go to the disk. We are not changing anything on the disk. We are going to the virtual networking. There we are doing some configuration. And what we are doing is we are creating the new virtual network because we have not created it before creating the virtual machine. Now in this process, we are seeing how to create the virtual machine while creating the VM itself. Because that this is a mandatory field. You need a virtual network created before deploying the virtual machines. So virtual network, create virtual network, and you are going to give it a name, MyVNet, which is mostly the same what we created before. So we create the virtual network, and it's going to have the name of MyVNet, and it is going to have some subnets. The default range is this /16. Let's make sure, yes, that is /16 for the whole network, virtual network. And then we are going to have a backend subnet, a default subnet we are going to rename. So we'll rename this one as my backend subnet. Okay, that's going to have the IP range 10.0.10/24. Uh, okay, and it's using this different virtual network here. Let's follow this. I guess it is doing that because the VNet we had created a similar virtual network before, and it is still under deletion process, it seems. Okay, fine. So let's see. Let's use this range 10.0.0/16. The subnet name for the virtual machines where we'll be deploying as a backend virtual machines. We are going to use a subnet, this one /24, and we are going to create one more subnet, my AG subnet. So I guess we are going to use that for application gateway. Let's use this subnet for this and click OK. Enter the subnet name, my backend subnet. Okay, select management. So this virtual machine is going to be part of my backend subnet, and it will have the public IP assigned because we need to log into that virtual machine without Bastion host. So in order to log in directly, we have to have the public IP created. Okay, ensure subnet is selected. We did that. We are going to the management tab next. In the management tab, it says disable the boot diagnostic. There is that option. You see that option here. I don't see that anywhere. Okay. We don't see that option, so let's go on. Management, disable boot diagnostic, review and create. So that's our first virtual machine, and along with what that virtual machine, we are having the virtual network created.
Why you're not taking fresh cold air?
And validation is still running. Okay. Right. So we are creating a virtual network again. This is a VNet. The IP range 10.0.0.0/16. We are having a backend subnet. The IP range 10.0.10/24. And we are having one more subnet created for application gateway. Application gateway. with the subnet 10.0.0.0/24, right? And as part of this VM, this process, we will have a VM1 created, and this VM1 will have a public IP address assigned. So in order to access this and configure, the VM will have the public IP address assigned to it. Let's go on with the next steps. So it says create two more virtual machines, MyVM2, MyVM3, place them in the same virtual network and in the backend subnet. Let's do that now. Okay, virtual machines again. And it's going to be part of my resource AG, and the name is VM2, no redundancy, standard security, and same version, same size. All this process, so I'm just quickly going through it. And we are having RDP enabled on this. We're not changing anything on the disk, but we are changing on the network. What we are going to do is we are making sure that this is going to be part of which network we created. Where is it? It's still creating. It just got created now. Let's see, we need to have the VM and the virtual network created before we create the second VM. Let's check if we have the virtual network. Okay, so we have the resource group. We also have the virtual network, not this one. Yeah, my VM. It's part of the resource group AG. Okay, so now let's create the virtual machines. VM2, this year's, let me see, standard VM. This is the correct size, image size of the VM. And page, and it's going to have the public IP. No configuration chain on the disk. Networking, we are going to use virtual network. What was the name we given? Doesn't show it here. Why? Let's check this. Now you guys should be able to troubleshoot these minor issues. You should be familiar with the portal now and all different actions which you can take to perform on this. How you create the resources, how you troubleshoot it if you face any issues. So here my challenge is that the VNet which we created, I just want to make sure that we are having the correct VNet selected. whether this machine can be part of that. So I'm going to find the virtual network first and check the name. This name is my VNet. So are we able to see that? My VNet? Yes. But it says why? It says it is going to create the new one. Whereas it should actually display me the name VNet, which we created. It's not doing that. Something wrong here. Okay. Let's try to put this manually and see. Doesn't search for it. Doesn't even look for it. Let's see what is the virtual network it is using. This one, this VM which was created first, and networking, network settings. Which is part of the correct VM, virtual network. This is the virtual network. This is the subnet, and so now which region? Let's see. Virtual machine. ECS. This is all fine. Are we missing anything here, guys? Can you spot out? We are selecting the correct region. We are selecting the correct resource type, resource group name, and we should be able to create the VM on that particular VNet, but it's not showing that VNet. Are we selecting the right subscription? That's also we have to make sure. So VM1, sandwich subscription. It's starting with this 2CC. Okay, let's check that. Yeah, that's the correct subscription. And that is the correct resource group name. And this is the master. The VM name is different. VM2, ECS, that's fine. Infrastructure redundancy, starting security. Okay, risk networks. Right, now it is able to see that virtual network. I don't know what happened. Okay, and we can see that the subnets which we have created, it is visible now. My AG subnet, which is the subnet we have created for application gateway, and backend subnet where we are going to put this VM2. And it's going to have the public IP assigned. Right. Basic public IP. Did we create the public IP for the previous one? We didn't do that one. Let's create this one and see what happens. Then this one we did not do any public IP configuration. We just made sure that it is having the RDP access enabled. Okay. We'll know if this configuration is right, and then after that we'll create the VM3. Running final validation, and it is passed, and that's it. We have our second VM created. Once this is done, we'll start with the third one. Submitting the product. Sorry, not that. Okay, create the third VM. Virtual machine. Make sure the subscription is correct. Resource group is correct. The VM name is VM3. And is US the regions. We're not using any availability zones. Security is going to be standard. And the image is going to be this one. Standard size. And password for your virtual machine access. Okay. And we are having the public endpoint ports RDP enabled. No changes on the disk. In the networking, we're making sure that this VM is part of the subnet. Where should it go? Let's check if you guys are following me and you're still with me. Can anyone tell me which subnet it should go? Anyone? I don't see Faida there. Junaid, Sharon or Sudhini, if you can't talk, just if you can also put a message in the chat.
Yes, I'm here.
So which subnet this VM should be placed in?
Backend.
Yes, Sudhini, that's right. So we have two subnets here. It should be going to the backend, right? And it is going to have a public IP created. Review and create. So this will be a third VM. After that, we are going to install the IIS again. And this time we are going to do it in a different way. And this is a learning part of the learning. You see this in this process, we are following a different way to install the IIS application on our virtual machine. Okay, let's have this VM created. What have we done so far? We have created 3 virtual machines now. So our backend subnet has VM1, VM2, and VM3. There are 3 virtual machines we have deployed so far in a backend subnet. It is in the process now. Now these VMs are going to act as web servers. So what do we install on a Windows server to make your Windows server as a web server? Which application or the service we have to install? We have seen it just half an hour back. If you guys can just say it or just type in the message in the chat, it'll be really good to hear from you guys that you are still following and active in the session. Yes, Junaid, I would expect something from you. Which service or application we have to install on this Windows servers to make it as a web server. Junaid,
Yes,
did you hear my question?
yes, but can you repeat again? I don't get
Really?
it.
I'm just asking you. We have installed. We have created three virtual machines now. Now I
Yes,
want to make these virtual machines as web server. These are Windows servers. So which application, all the software I need to install on these servers to make it as a Windows web server?
for Windows, we have to install IIS.
That's the question. Simple answer. IIS has to be installed now. Now, in our previous exercise, we have seen installing that. How we did that? We created two virtual machines. We logged into each virtual machine and installed IIS application, right? Now, in this exercise, we are doing it in a different way. How we are doing that? Without even logging into the virtual machine. Is that possible? Yes, with Azure, it is possible. On the Azure platform, we can do that. We'll see that now in this next step. The moment we have all the VMs installed, now we are going to install the IAS service, open the interactive shell and make sure it is set to PowerShell. So now with the help of interactive shell, the cloud shell, what we have on our portal, and we have to make sure that it is running on the PowerShell mode. We will see which mode it is running in a minute. Let's say if you have, let's see if we have all the VMs running, all three VMs. So see, in this exercise, we activated RDP access on all the VMs. We didn't even require that because now, as per this exercise, we are not logging into the virtual machine and installing the IIS service. Instead, what we are doing is we are using the Cloud Shell and installing this IIS service on the virtual machines without even logging in. So switch to Bash. That means we are in the PowerShell mode now. You can see here we are in the PowerShell mode. So as per the lab, we are fine. Run the following command to install IIS on virtual machine. Right. So how it is installing the IIS on virtual machine? You can see the steps here. Understand the command. Let me put that in the notepad. Just try to see through it and understand what it is doing. So it is actually uh, fetching this script from the GitHub. It is downloading this script first of all, and this is the script name gateway url.ps1. Okay, and what it is doing, set a AZ VM extension. See, with the help of this command, you can install a software or an application on the virtual machine without even logging into the virtual machine. We are specifying the resource group name, and that is our resource group name which we created, my resource group AG, and location is going to be East US. So we have to be very specific in this command. We have to tell this command what is my resource group name, what is my location where my VM is deployed, and what is that extension I want to install on that VM, that is IIS, which is required to make this Windows Server as a web server. What is the virtual machine name? My VM1. I'm going to install it on my VM1, and publisher of the software is Microsoft Compute. Extension type, custom script. We are also adding a custom script after installing this. After installing the IIS service, what we are doing is we are putting up custom this particular PS PowerShell script on that web server. Like in our previous exercise, what we did, we installed the IIS application. We just modified the default homepage with some content to see that when we are browsing, when we are accessing the site from internet, it is reaching the proper web server or not. So let's go ahead and do this to our command shell. Okay, so I'm going to paste that information here. What else we have after this? Let's see. So install IIS on other virtual machines using the steps that you just finished. Use my VM 2 and 3 instead of for the VM name, right? So all we have to do is just change the virtual machine name here in the script when we want to install the IIS on these two VMs. So this process might take some time. It is installing IIS. Can we do it parallelly? Let's see. We start a new session. We'll try to do this of the second VM also. So the second VM name is my VM2. Okay. Let's do the same on third VM as well. Okay. Right. So let's wait and see what is the output we get. This is still running. This is running. This is also running. So this might take some time. Let it install the IIS application. We'll carry on with our exercise. Here we are going to create the application gateway, right? Similarly, like we did the load balancer creation. So here we are going to create a resource in the Azure portal, select networking application gateway. So let's go to the Azure portal again and search for application gateway. And we can see application gateways here. Okay, you can see that it's the same blade for managing load balancer and application gateways because these are similar technologies, but slightly different in functionality. So now we are creating application gateway. And you can see there are two options when you are creating the application gateway. Let's look at that again. So you can create application gateway, distribute web traffic for VM-based workloads. So this is going to distribute the traffic and specifically web traffic. Application gateway for containers, distribute web traffic for Azure Kubernetes service, AKS workloads. So this is, we'll see this, we can see this after we discuss the containers and the Kubernetes in Azure. So we are going ahead with the application gateway now. I'm going to select the same subscription and resource group is going to be this. And select subscription, resource group name, application gateway name. We have to name it my app gateway. I'm naming it my app gateway. Okay, region, select the region, East US, that's fine. Under configure virtual network, select my VNet. Under configure virtual network, where is it? Yes, it's here. So this is going to be part of my VNet, the virtual network. And under that, you also have to select the specific subnet. So the subnet which we have created for my application gateway is this, my IG subnet. So we created two subnets as part of this exercise, my backend subnet and my IG subnet. So it's going to be in my IG subnet. Accept the default values for the other settings and select next. So all other settings we are going to set as default and going to the front end now. Next tab. Okay. On the front end tab, verify front end IP address type. It's going to be public. This is public. And we have a note here for the application gateway V2 SKU. You can only choose public front end IP configuration. Private front end IP configuration is currently not enabled for V2 SKU. So it is giving you the note that there are different SKUs available for the application gateway as well. So it is giving the instructions that this SKU. Do we have an option here to select the SKU? I don't see an option. Okay, anyway, we'll see that later. Oh, yes, I think it's based on this one, the tier what we have here. So these are these are the SKUs basically. The SKU is nothing but the specs of the product which you are deploying. So there's a basic version, there's a standard V2, there's a WAP V2. We are going to go ahead with the standard V2. Okay, front end public IP address. So add a new public IP address. They're doing standard, right? Standard V2, yes. New. So we have to add a new public IP, and I'm going to give it a name as per this public IP. Okay, and backends. Just say okay. And then we are going to the backends tab. The backend pool is used to route requests to backend servers that serve the request. So the actual servers which are having the data and the content are the backend servers. So backend pools can be composed of NICs, network interface cards, virtual machine scale sets, public IPs, internal IPs, fully qualified domain name, FQDN, and multi-tenant backend like Azure App Services. So we have seen in the whiteboard explanation, the backend can be many different, there are many different options in the backends here in Application Gateway. So on the backends tab, add backend pool. You're just look at this. This is similar to creating the load balancer. We have done similar actions. We have configured the front end and the back end and the pool of servers and the rules for health prop rules and firewall rules for allowing the communication from the load balancer to the backend servers. So it's all the same similar process. Add the backend pool now. Okay, the name of the backend pool is going to be my backend pool, right? That's the name. And under the target type, select virtual machine. So you can see here under the target type, this is the target type, and you have different options here. So if you don't have the virtual machines, if you have the web service running app service, if you're using app service for the web server, you can use app server as well, app service as well. So we'll see the app service in the later classes, so you'll understand it more. Right now, we are just going ahead with the virtual machines. Okay, under target, select network interface for my VM1. Network interface. Okay, it is showing the interface IP addresses actually of the virtual machines. Okay, my VM1. Select add. Okay, that's we just added one server in the backend. Repeat the add in images. Okay, repeat to add an images backend page. Let's repeat this. And this is going to be images backend pool with VM2 as a target. So my VM2 is going to be target and a video backend pool for VM3. Okay, right. So you see what we are doing here, little different is that the backend pool, what we have, there are three virtual machines, right? All three virtual machines are having different content of the web server. One is having all the images stored in it, one is having the videos, and one of the web servers is having the actual website page. So let's create this now. Add all the VM1 and VM2 and VM3 as well. So name, what do we name it? Backend pool. No, under the target, select VM1, select add, repeat to add. Okay, in the same pool, we are going to add target, backend target, virtual machine. Uh, is it same process we are following? Let's see. It's little bit confusing here. Under the target type, virtual machine. Okay, we did that first one. Under target, select VM1, and we selected add. Repeat to add an images backend pool. Hmm. It is say images backend pool. We are creating a separate backend pool, I think. Okay, so we are creating separate backend pool. Let's create a separate backend pool for this. Okay, backend pool, another backend pool we are creating. Images backend pool, let's say images. And we are going to add the target virtual machine. And this is going to be for virtual machine 2. Add. And we are creating one more backend pool for videos. And that's going to be VM3. So here we are having single backend server in the pool. Okay, there are 3 backend pools available now. Select add save backend pool, configure backend tab, and go to the next configuration. I hope this is correct what we're doing. Yeah, so we have created the separate backend pools. That's correct. And we're going to the configuration tab now. Add a routing rule. Now we are adding a rule here. Add a routing rule. Add a routing rule. Rule name. My routing rule. Okay. A routing rule requires a listener, and the listener tab within the add a routing rule window type the following values. Okay, so this routing rule requires a listener, which is this. So we are going to give it a name, my listener. Okay, content IP, select the public IP, IPv4. Okay. Did we create the public IP? I think yes, right? Where is that? It doesn't show up here. And port number 8080. It says port 8080. Accept the default values for the other settings on the listener tab and select background targets tab to configure the rest of the routing. Okay, so there's a listener tab and there's a backend target tab. So backup target tab, rest of the routing rule, what we are doing here. In the backend target tab, select my backend pool. There is that. Select my backend pool for the backend target. For the backend settings, add a new create HTTP backend settings, add new HTTP setting, add a backend setting, Windows that opens up, enter my HTTP settings. Okay. For the backend setting name, accept the default value, setting in the add backend settings. Okay. There has to be some priority defined. What is the priority here? Doesn't say any priority, right? Routing rule, add a routing rule. Does not have a content IP, port number. Doesn't have anywhere, doesn't say anywhere what the priority should be. So we'll just give it some value here. Add. So there's one rule we have added. Okay. And then just follow these steps. I'll explain you on the whiteboard what we have done so far. Okay. Backend target. We have completed everything here. HTTP setting. Under path-based routing, now we are going to go path-based routing. Where is it? Add multiple targets. Yes, okay. This has changed. I think this interface again refreshed. I don't see that option here. The the steps what we have here are very old. Add multiple targets to create path-based rule. Where do you see here path-based rule? I see routing rules. Add routing rule. Add one more routing rule. Let's say. Do you see any option here? I don't see it. I think I need to look into it and get back to you how we can do this. Let's continue this one and create at least the application gateway. Right, what happened? Let's see if our IIS service is running. Okay, our IIS application is installed and it's running on all three virtual machines. We can even log in and check because we have activated the access right through RDP. Let's check that. Verify our virtual machine IIS service. So this is what I was telling you. There's a third way of connecting to the virtual machine on the Azure cloud is over the VPN. So we have not seen that. We'll be covering that most probably tomorrow. We'll do the VPN part. Just logging into one of the virtual machine. Let's see IIS is running and up and running the web server. Yeah, IS service is running. It's installed actually. You can manage this. Doesn't have the tool installed. Restart pending, I think. Okay. You have to restart the virtual machines. Fine, the server is ready. It's installed. We check now the load balancing app with application gateway. So what is this? What we have to do after this? So all three VMs are ready. Let me get out of this Windows. Our application gateway is also almost ready now. So the next step is basically checking. We are missing this configuration. So I'll look into this and I'll show you tomorrow maybe. Okay, once it's created, we have to test the application gateway. So this is similar way as we did for our load balancer. We are but we are accessing with port 8080, not the default port. So let's go to this application gateway IP address. Once it is created, still going on. So in the whiteboard, what we have done so far, we have configured application gateway. We have configured the front end IP. This will have the public IP assigned, and we have configured the backend pool. The backend pool, and we have actually configured three backend pools, 1, 2, and 3. So each backend pool is having different content. That means this set of servers will have images stored on this. This will have the videos, and this will have the actual web content, right? So on the website which you have developed, your website actually will be having the location of those images and the videos configured, right? So when you're accessing those specific content, the application gateway will route the traffic to a specific VMs based on the content, website contents. So let's see now the application gateway is configured or not. Still deploying it. It's taking longer than usual. Okay, so let's do one thing. I'll look into this other configuration settings which we have to do on the application gateway. I'll probably show you this as a demo tomorrow. So let's go back to our slides. If you want to continue on this, we can end here today. We just have 10 minutes left. What we can do tomorrow, the major one is VPN. So let's see what we have left. So we can see this. I'll check this one, and I'll just show you this tomorrow, how it is working. I'll have the lab ready. We are not checking the site-based routing right now. We're just looking at content-based routing in our example. Traffic manager, I'll just explain you what the traffic manager is and where you can use it. And Azure front door also, I'll explain you because our time doesn't permit to see everything in the lab, see everything as a demo because that is very time consuming. You have seen that. but I prefer to do the labs along with the presentation so that you understand what we are talking. Usually, this is what is missing in most of the Azure trainings. When we run the training, if you do just run through the slides and explanation, most of the time it doesn't make sense, and you can't really uh, fit in those specific technologies in the infrastructure and see how it really functions in practical. So I try to cover that up with the help of whiteboarding. So you see where exactly those components which we are discussing, the technologies, are deployed and how they integrate within your whole architecture. So I'll explain you traffic manager, front door service, and then quick comparison we'll see tomorrow. CDN, content delivery network. I'll again that will be a just explanation. Then Azure firewall. Uh, I can we can probably have one lab for this. The different versions of firewalls. WAF, again, some explanation only. The difference between the firewall and the WAF, web application firewall. There's firewall and there's web application firewall. So you should understand the difference between these two. Then you should understand what is DDoS attack. Just an understanding, we can't go deep down in every topic. Azure Bastion, we have already seen. So this is again a reminder for you what Azure Bastion does. Azure Bastion lets you securely access your VMs using RDP or SSH directly from Azure portal, right? Without needing a public IP on the virtual machine itself. So while creating the virtual machine, it's always a good practice not to assign any public IP to those virtual machines. All connections happen over HTTPS, TLS, making it safer and easier to manage. This is a very rough diagram of how the gem server, the Azure Bastion works. And in when you relate it to the real-time scenarios, we can also call it as a gem server. In on-prem solutions, we do have a concept of gem server. That means you will have a server which will be having controls and the strict policies implemented for accessing other VMs. And most of the time, there are some third-party tools available. Like for example, there's a tool, there's a product from Beyond Trust. Beyond Trust is one of the company which has PAM solution, privilege access management. So your PAM, so instead of this Azure Bastion, it will be a PAM server, privilege access management server, through which you'll be connecting to all the servers which you manage internally on your on-prem network. So what does PAM server do? Just imagine this instead of Azure Bastion host, it is a PAM server. And when you need to access any of your servers on-prem, you'll be accessing it through the PAM server. And on the PAM server, it will also it also does the session recording. That means whatever action you're performing on these servers which you're managing, it will all be recorded on the PAM server, which can be used for auditing purpose and accountability. So that's a similar. Bastion doesn't have the session recording available, but it functions the same way as the PAM server on-prem. Recommended Azure Bastion when you need access VMs securely without public IPs, avoid jump servers and inbound RDP SSH port. Use simple browser-based RDP SSH from Azure portal. Reduce attack surface and improve security. That's what the Azure Bastion does. Then you also have a similar concept. It's a different concept or similar. Just-in-time network access. What does this do? With just-in-time network access, you can lock down the inbound traffic to your VMs, reducing exposure to attacks while providing easy access to connected VMs when needed. So basically, it's a time-based access. So you can set a specific duration for allowing the RTP or SSH access to your servers on Azure platform. So we'll also see one simple demo for this, how it works. Supports ports 3389 and 22. This is all we need when it comes to the management of the servers. You know that if it is a Windows server, it runs on RDP protocol, and RDP uses this port number 3389. And when it comes to Linux servers, the Linux servers are managed through SSH tools, SSH protocol, and SSH works on port 22. So this works for both Windows and Linux servers. Ports are blocked when not in use, integrates with NSGs and Azure Firewall. We can also secure just-in-time access with the help of network security groups, the rules which we can create inbound or outbound rule, or alternatively, you can also use Azure Firewall, right? So that's for the just-in-time access. You will see the demo tomorrow. Then we have something called Network Watcher. It's a regional service with various network diagnostic tools. This is basically for uh, diagnosing your networking issues. So let's say if you have some issue communicating between the virtual machines or a virtual machine from one subnet to other subnet. So there are different scenarios. We'll see one sample use case, again a demo on how we can utilize Network Watcher. This is a built-in service, Microsoft service on Azure, which you can use for connection monitoring. You can even use it to see the topology, how your virtual network is deployed, how many subnets you have in the virtual network. It creates a diagram and shows you the topology, and you can use it for monitoring. And there are different purposes. You can use it for troubleshooting as well. And basically, this is why it's called Network Watcher. IP flow verify diagnostics. This is part of the Network Watcher. You see, IP flow verify. That means you can see if the communication is happening from one particular server to the other server or not. You can see whether the traffic is allowed or denied uh, from one virtual machine to the other virtual machine or to the internet. So Network Watcher, traffic allowed or denied, security rule names, it shows you all the details with the help of IP flow verified diagnostics. Next hop diagnostics. What is the next hop? We'll see this when we add the routes, static routes and the system routes when we helps with determining whether traffic is being directed to the intended destination by showing the next hop. So in the traffic routing, we'll see this when we touch base on firewalls. Then you have yeah, visualize network topology. This is what I told you. This is how your network you can see the topology of your network, how many network components you have deployed in your environment in Azure network. So provides a visual representation of your networking elements. View all the resources in virtual network, resources to resource association, relationships between the resources, locate the network watcher instance in the same region. So we'll see this quickly tomorrow. These are very straightforward. And then I think that's it for today. We'll continue tomorrow and see the next remaining topics. What else we have after this? Design virtual network. These are very advanced topics now. Designing part. This really comes with the experience. So I can just I'm sharing this slides anyway with you guys. Here we have also the NAT gateway, discussing about NAT gateway. Outbound connectivity is all about NAT gateway routing. We have seen some routing in the previous labs. VPN connections, we'll see this also. The site-to-site VPN connectivity as well as the point-to-site. So there are two different VPN connection types we can